Welcome to my October 2023 update on the latest credit card news and offers. Lots of Amex updates to share with you, including some really big promotions that are available for the next few months and a new credit card from Lloyd, which could be good for you, people who are often going to the airport. But let's start off with those Amex updates. Last month, I told you about some new changes coming in terms of the fees, the pro-rata refund on fees. If you had an Amex card and you cancelled it throughout that 12-month period, before the fee was added again, you'd get a refund. So halfway through, you get half the money back. And that was pretty good when it came to some of those cards, which were very expensive, but had some nice welcome offers and promotions. It was due to start on the 2nd of October, so just a week or so ago. That's now been postponed. It's still going to happen. We don't know when it's going to happen, but it won't be until after the 29th of February 2024. So we've got another 4.5 months at least before this comes into play, and it will come in at some point. And then, as soon as I know the date, as soon as they reveal it, I will let you know in one of these videos. What this means in the short term is that if you have got an Amex card and you don't want to have it for the full year, one that has a fee, you can still get that refund over the coming months. Now, if you knew this change was coming, this is a bit late. They didn't tell anyone about it in advance. It was kind of just all quietly under the radar. You may already have done that. You may already have cancelled the card before those rules came into play. Well, meant to come into play on the 2nd of October. But if you hadn't done that, maybe you've got that BA Premium Plus Amex card, the offer that was running a few months ago, and you weren't able to trigger the bonus before that rule was meant to come in play. So you kept it going. Well, maybe now you can still cancel that, get some of your money back. But I say that is a temporary postponement. What also happened with American Express, and this is the reason why they have postponed that change in the pro-rata refunds, is they have increased the fees on a number of their cards. Not all of their cards, but a lot of them. I say a lot of them. There's only about maybe 8 or 9 that charge fees, and about 6 of those have had their fees increased. First one is the Amex Platinum card. That was £575 a year. It is now £650. It was already expensive. Now it's even more expensive. The American Express Preferred Rewards Gold credit card, that was £160. That is now going to be £195, but that was and will remain free in the first year. I've always said with that card, I don't really see any value you have in that beyond that first 12 months. But it does mean that obviously it's going to cost you more if you do choose to keep it after that first year anniversary. The Amex Nectar card, this one was £25. It's now going to be £30 a year. I should say these fees are already in place if you're a new applicant. So if you apply for the card now, since the 11th of October, you will pay the new fees. I'll come back to, if you already got one, what they'll be if you renew in a second. There's also the Amex Marriott Bonvoy card. That was £75 a year. Now it's £95 a year. The Amex Harrods card, I'm not sure many of us have got that, have we? But anyway, that was £160, now £195. And also, this is one for business members, the American Express Preferred Rewards Gold Business, that was £175. It's now £195. As with the consumer, the personal gold card, that is also free in the first year. So they're the prices if you are applying for the card brand new or already in force as of now. If you currently have one of those cards, you've got a bit of a window before you'll be charged that fee when you renew. It's not going to come into place until the 29th of February 2024. So if you are due to renew in December, you'll pay the old price. You're due to renew on the 28th of February, you'll pay the old price. But if your 12 months, your current 12-month period is after that, so let's say April the 15th or whatever it is, you'll pay the new prices. So it's worth thinking about that, whether these cards are worth keeping when they go up. Now, generally, as I said, I don't think the gold one is worth having in year 2 anyway. The platinum card, really touch and go, and we'll come back to that in a moment, a bit more detail on that. But I think it's a lot of money to spend for what you get in return. You're generally going to have to be using it in a lot, all of its features, for that to kind of even justify anywhere close to that 650 quid. In terms of the Nectar card, again, it's free in the first year, so that's not going to be a problem. In year 2, £30 a year for a cashback card that gives you 1%. I would say probably not. I'd probably say cancel it and look at your alternatives, whether that's the Chase debit card with 1%, although it's capped obviously at £15 every month, or maybe one of the other cards that pays a bit less. But generally, I think that 30 quid is probably a bit too much to justify on that card. The other new thing I want to tell you about is a new credit card from Lloyd. This is the World Elite Cashback card. This one will give you 0.5% cashback on purchases of up to £15,000 each year. If you spend over £15,000, it goes up to 1%, and that will reset every 12 months. So then you go back to zero and back to that 0.5%, which isn't very exciting. You can match or beat that elsewhere. So I wouldn't worry about this for cashback in any way. Where it is interesting is for those of you who are frequent airport travelers. I'm talking about you're there all the time. So more likely to be business people, or maybe people who are, I don't know, retired and jetting off all over the place. Or maybe you just love your city breaks and every single month you're going somewhere. Because this card comes with free priority pass, which gives you access to airport lounges. And it also gives you something called airport fast track, which means you can skip the queues at security, obviously only at participating lounges and only at participating airports with this security feature. But broadly speaking, if you travel a lot, and I say you have to travel a lot, this could be good because this has an annual fee of, monthly fee of about £15 a month, £180 a year. So that sounds like a lot of money for those features. But if you were to buy a priority pass separately, the full unlimited one is like 450 quid or something like that, £419, I think. And that obviously is crazy money. So 180 quid versus 419 quid is a really, really big saving for those airport lounges. But I would also say, like, do you need them? Even if you get, it's a saving on the airport lounges, do you really need to use them? My experience of airport lounges, particularly the priority pass ones, is they're okay. They're not necessarily anything to get massively excited about. Yes, there's food and there's drink, but the food is often pretty poor, and I'd rather just go and buy something, even if it's a boot sandwich in the main airport. And the booze, I mean, I'm not someone who gets, levered up before getting on a flight, particularly the longer flights. And often it's just kind of the house stuff. Again, you might think it's worth it, particularly if you travel a lot. Where it is particularly good, I would say, is £180. You get that. If you have an additional card holder, it means you both get the exact same access to Priority Pass and to that airport security access. So again, for some of you, it could be really, really good. But for most of us, it's probably one to give a big hard pass on. Right, let's end up now with these two new American Express welcome bonus offers, which were launched to coincide with that big increase in the fees that I told you about earlier. Maybe trying to kind of a little sweetener so you kind of forget about how much more expensive the cards are going to be. But they are definitely worth considering if you are eligible. The first one of these is the American Express Preferred Rewards Gold credit card. Always a bit of a mouthful, that one. This one comes with a new fee of £195 a year, but remember, it is free in the first year. So this is a good one to consider if you are eligible, if you can get it, because it won't cost you anything for that year one. Now, to be eligible for this offer, really important to say, as with most Amex offers, although not the one I'm going to tell you about in a minute, you cannot have had any American Express credit card in your name in the last 2 years. So if you have, then sadly, this one won't work for you. The next one might. But if that's the case and you apply for this card, you will get, rather than the standard 20,000 Amex bonus points, you will get 25,000 Amex reward points. And in fact, if you go via a refer a friend link, you'll get 30,000 Amex bonus points if you meet the criteria I'll come to in a minute. Now, I actually wouldn't go for that higher refer a friend bonus, because if instead you apply via cashback sites such as Top Cashback or Quidco, now the rates do change regularly, so you have to check them both to see what the latest one is. But time recording this, it was 70 quid via Top Cashback. That will be worth more overall than those extra 5,000 points. So apply via a cashback site, and then you have to spend £3,000 in 3 months. And if you do that, it will trigger that 25,000 point bonus. You'll also, because you'll just get a point for every pound that you spend, you'll get another 3,000 points. So in total, 28,000 points, which, depending how you convert them, if you convert them into a gift card, they're worth roughly 50%-ish. So 28,000 points becomes 140 quid. Or if you're happy to convert them first into Avios points and then into Nectar points, which is a bit of a faff, but not too much of a faff, you get an increased value, and they'll be worth £187 in total, all those points. So it's worth doing it for an extra 47 quid, I would say, plus that £70 cashback. That's what, 200 and, can't add that up now, 47 quid, which you will be getting. So that is that right? Yeah, 247 quid when you apply for this for spending £3,000 in 3 months, which is really high. Not as high as it used to be, but certainly one to consider. Now, the other offer is the Amex Platinum credit card, they've also boosted the welcome on that one. That one is much, much, much bigger. You could get a huge number of points. But remember earlier on, I said that annual fee, 650 quid a year. However, if you stack it with a few other promotions, this one could actually be worth more than that gold one. And I'll take you through those steps in a second. What's they here now? Talking about eligibility, this one is slightly different to the gold one. You can get this bonus if you've had certain Amex cards in your name in the last 2 years. In fact, there are only 3 that would exclude you. So you will not be able to be eligible for this bonus if you have had the Amex Preferred Rewards Gold credit cards, the one we just spoke about, the Amex Reward card, or just the basic Amex card. These are basically the ones that will also collect membership reward points, or if you've had this card itself, the Platinum card itself in the last 2 years, you won't be eligible for this bonus. But any others, the Platinum Cashback, the BA cards, you will be able to go for this one. Now, the normal offer here is 30,000 Amex Reward points. So it's been increased massively. If you go via a cashback site, 75,000 points. If you go via a refer a friend link, it's 80,000 points. But again, the amount you might be able to get via the cashback sites makes it, in my opinion, better to do that, even though you get slightly fewer bonus points. Now, let's say you do that, you apply for the card. It's a much, much, much bigger spending threshold to trigger the bonus. It's absolutely massive, and it's going to rule out a lot of us. It's £10,000 in 6 months. Huge amount of money. That's what, God, how much is that every single month? I mean, it's a lot of money to be spending to trigger that. So I think a lot of you, that's not going to be something that's viable. But if you have some really, really big expenses coming up, or generally your monthly expenses are pretty hefty, then certainly I think it's well worth considering it. So you would be spending that 10 grand to earn those 75,000 points. You would then also have 10,000 points on top of that from the £10,000 that you spent, giving you a total of 85,000 points. Now convert those ones into a gift card worth 425 quid, or convert them into Avios and then into Nectar points. They're worth 567 quid, more or less. And the cashback rate is around £80. So again, that is giving you up to about £647, £3 less than the 650 quid annual fee. So what's the point? Why would you do this just to break even? Well, there are some other features that come with the Platinum card, which will hopefully get you another maybe 400 quid on top of that. One of them, and I've spoken about this previously, is the dining credit. Every year on the 1st of January, you get £150 credit to spend at participating restaurants in the UK. And you get, so from now, 150 quid over the next few months, and then in January it will reset. So that's worth £300. So obviously, this is money you might not normally spend, but if there are places listed in those restaurant sort of lists that you are keen to go to, that's a really nice way to effectively get a free meal. You also get £50 credit when you spend at Harvey Nicks. Again, this resets twice a year, the 1st of January and the 1st of July. So again, considering we're going to keep this card for the full 12 months because you won't be able to get a pro-rata refund on the fee anymore, 50 quid between now and the end of the year, 50 quid from January through to the end of June, and another 50 quid, extra 150 quid. So that's £450 you can get just from those 2 offers. Again, this is spending money to get money back. So again, that free money is a bit of a kind of a loose term, but if there's things you would buy anyway from those retailers or places you would eat at anyway, it's well worth going for that. You also, and I haven't even factored this into my £450 bonus, you'll get free worldwide family travel insurance for a year. Now, if you are traveling a lot, that's pretty good. You'll also get access to airport lounges. So potentially a really tidy profit, plus those little extra freebies on top. But 2 really, really big considerations, and I'll talk about them again because they're so important. First of all, can you spend £10,000 in 6 months? So many of us will not be able to do it. And this is the same with the Amex Gold card as well. There are going to be restrictions how you can spend that money. This is everyday spending, things you would buy normally. You will not be able to use it on gambling or paying off your mortgage or any of those kind of bits and pieces. It's just normal spending, okay? And that's going to be pretty tough for a lot of people. Secondly, all these bonus points you get, I talk about 450 quid profit, but you're actually going to get a lot more of these things back as Nectar points. Those are always bonus points. When you convert them over, that's going to be 500 quid, 550 quid in Nectar points. Are you happy with that? Are you going to go to Sainsbury's that often? Obviously, it's not just the supermarket itself, it's the petrol stations, it's Argos as well. But just bear that in mind. And there's also a very, very small risk that there could be a change in when the Amex and Avios working together and how many points you can switch over and the value of them being converted. And if that happened last year, they were worth more points about 12 months ago. So there is a risk that you get all these points and they could be worth a little bit less. But all in, it's definitely worth thinking about it. And what I would say with any of the credit cards I've spoken about today, or any just credit cards generally, just don't forget the most important thing you do before you apply is to check your eligibility. You can do that often on the credit card's own website or on a comparison site. I've got a whole video taking you through my rules for applying for and managing credit cards. So make sure if you haven't watched that one already, you give that one a go. My name is Andy Webb. Thank you so much for watching. Check out these videos right here for more ways to take advantage of credit cards.